Hello and welcome to the Simuldub Saints, your guide to seasonal anime dubs. I'm your host, Laser Kid, and with me as always is my trusty co-host.
Hello, I am Archangel, lover of cat girls.
You've been listening to our theme song, Wherever I Go, from friend of the podcast, Ampren. Please check out their awesome music, link in the description.
And this episode is sponsored by the Northwind Highlanders, in keeping with the Battletech theme. More about them at the end.
Ah, yes. More... At this point, we might as well be sponsored by the Black Pants Legion.
Well, you do realize Battletech is much, much more than the BPL guys.
I know.
But,
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just teasing.
Battletech is a great setting, is what it boils down to.
Oh, yeah, it's cool. Well, personal news before serious news. My computer has the part it needs. It just needs to get all put together at the repair shop. We're getting closer. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there.
Yep.
Actually, Ark, you've been doing a bang-up job editing, so appreciate you. Sorry we missed you all last week. Scheduling conflicts is a thing. It was not even about the time of editing. It was about the time of recording.
Yep, and I'm honestly going to try and knock this out tonight, because as we record this tomorrow, after I'm finished with teaching my classes for today, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 awaits. So yeah,
Indeed.
Jesus Christ be praised.
Yes. Well, we have two pieces of news before we get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast. So might as well jump right into this. You may have actually heard me and Archangel discuss this piece on the Toonami Faithful podcast last week, or the week before, depending on when timing of that episode of this came out. But the Toonami original Lazarus is announced to be running in April. And it looks really freaking cool. Hopefully they can actually get the writing working this time. Toonami originals are so very cursed. But this does look good.
The TLDR pitch is it looks like Mirror's Edge, but with a more traditional cyberpunk bent rather than the bright color palette.
Indeed. So, I mean, Yachi sure what's not involved, so that's going to make it fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's exciting. And if we had recorded this last week, that would have been the only piece of news we had for y'all.
Yep.
But because we were recording it this week, we also have information about the Red Ranger becomes an adventure in another world Simuldub. First of all, it's out as of February 2nd. So yeah, this is going to be a Sunday show. It looks to be 3 weeks behind. They'll probably catch them back up to being 2 weeks behind at some point. So keep watching that space. But we do have a cast list. In order to not be here all night, we're just going to do the lead two.
Yep. I'm sure we'll do an episode on it at some point.
Oh, there's no way we're not doing an episode on this. This thing is too freaking hot.
So we'll go through the cast at that time. So,
but the leading two, we have Red, voiced by Ethan Condon. He is very much a newcomer from the looks of things, or at least two big roles. He's a newcomer. A lot of additional voices and whatnot. But you may have heard him in Seventh Prince as Jade, and also the demon-possessing Jade, Gusarme Aurel Valenvok, and also Ryosuke Saito in Anyway, I'm Falling in Love with You. Also has a part in By My Earth, but I couldn't remember the character. I mean, they had the name, but I couldn't remember who it is, so I'm sparing myself that embarrassment while admitting the embarrassment. Haha! But,
and
excited to hear him.
Seems to be voiced by Natalie Van Sistine, which is a really cool name. And who we know best as Your Forger in Spy Family, and who people other than me, under my rock, will know as Star and Stripe in My Hero Academia.
Rest in peace, Star and Stripe. Rest in peace.
Spoilers.
Yeah, well, you know.
That's totally on me. But
literally, it's what she's known for, though. She shows up and then goes away like that fast.
Okay.
Oh, gosh. Very impactful character, though.
Mm-hmm. Well, that starts us on our slight downer of an episode here because the world of this show is kind of messed up.
Yes, welcome to hell.
Or at least
Where, of
hell
course, you're
adjacent.
talking about Nina the Starry Bride. What I really find interesting about this world is that it's hell, and yet I have hope for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we see hope in certain of the characters, yes.
Well, we start off in the kingdom of Fortuna, where we have our main character, Nina, voiced by Jill Harris. That's Noelle Silva in Black Clover, and Fern in Freeren. And her two friends, they're all very poor. We've got Aladdin shit going on. This is Saji, voiced by Kevin Thalwell. That's Ray White in The Ice Blade Sorcerer Shall Rule the World, and Zeus in One Piece. And Colin, voiced by Michaela Krantz. That's Momoji Soma in Fruits Basket Prelude. And Chiyo Miyamo in Chiyo School Road, which I actually watched some of Chiyo School Road. I haven't actually watched Fruits Basket. I need to. It's an iconic piece of anime, and I believe Prelude is the first part of the remake.
Okay.
But yeah. You of all people, good lord. Well, I'm gonna have to explain that one to you later.
Okay.
People turn into animals, man.
Okay.
Yeah, Nina is our main character. The three of them are basically orphans living together, trying to scrape by. And things go okay. Not great, but okay. That is until Colin dies. And then it's just Nina and Saji. And then Saji sells Nina into slavery.
Yeah. Because
stand-up guy there, Saji. You're a stand-up guy.
Yep. And it's worth noting that even at this still young age, Nina is remarkably pretty. Blonde hair,
she's absolutely
a very unusual shade of blue eyes, which will be important.
Yes, because I said sold to slavery. That's only half right. I mean, effectively, yes, but it's not. She's not a servant girl, because the person who bought her is Azure Seth Fortuna, one of the princes of the Kingdom of Fortuna, voiced by Ben George Stegmeyer, Iharu Furuhashi in Kaiju number 8, and Kishinamaro Minobe in Shinobi no Otoki. God, I wish we could have talked about that one when that was new. But we didn't exist.
TLDR Ninja Hogwarts. If that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yes.
That's really all you need to know. Go watch it.
Kishimaru was one of the major characters, although he spends the entire show dead.
Yep, but
we know him in flashback.
Yep, but again, Shinobi no Itoki, the 2-word explanation is Ninja Hogwarts, and then go watch it.
Oh yeah, no, it is. It is absolutely amazing. You're a ninja, Harry.
Yeah, pretty much. That's more or less what happens. Go watch the show. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. So I forget. I mean, I forget if slavery is institutionalized in this world, but regardless, this is not a normal such thing. She has basically been requisitioned by the state, or at least this prince.
Well, this agent of the state.
Yeah, to
who's doing it on his own accord.
Because this very important personage named Alicia Seth Fortuna has died in an accident. And Nina just so happens to be a dead ringer for her, at least in terms of her hair and eyes, which is all anyone really knows about her, because she's grown up in seclusion.
Yep. So Alicia Seth Fortuna was a priestess, and their whole thing is that they were going to send her off to get married over at the Galgada Kingdom as a peace offering, so they don't go to war.
Yeah, it's all very geopolitical. I'll get into at least the part that we care about in a bit.
Yes, so Azure has basically taken Nina in under his wing. He's teaching her how to behave nobly, do all the rituals and stuff. And Azure is assisted by his attendant Ditus, voiced by Daniel Van Thomas. who is Adonis Question in Bye Bye Earth, and Zabu in Buchigiri. Poor Titus. This man just has to put up with both Azure and Nina. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
so it's worth talking about their respective characters at this point.
Yes.
So it's
So Nina,
in very broad terms, it reminds me a little bit of mine and oh god, I'm blanking on his name. Ferdinand in Bookworm a little bit, but there's a lot more to it than that.
I there is definitely that going on
to a certain extent.
But yes, there is more. Azure is basically mentor to Nina, who has absolutely no idea what she's doing. Mm-hmm. So he's teaching her about noble stuff. He's teaching her how to behave. But there's also a camaraderie that develops between the two. Although Nina is very free-willed.
Yeah, she is very much a free spirit, and Azure is very much at least he wishes he was a motionless creature of duty, at least to begin with.
He definitely plays that part, yes.
Yeah, his whole childhood and everything, as you might imagine, is traumatic and horrible.
We'll get into that in a minute, but... Of
course, I'd say that about just about everyone in this show.
Oh, God. They also pair her up with an attendant named Hikami, voiced by Corey Wilder. That is our boy Will Surfort in Wisteria Wanted Sword, and hilariously Tomoki Iwahashi in Tsukumichi Moonlit Fantasy. Will never cease to amuse me that Corey Wilder voices one of the best and worst characters in anime, and I mean that morally, not quality. He does a great job in both roles. Mm-hmm. But one of the first trials that Nina has to overcome is...
I should mention that as far as anyone knows, Hikami is a girl, and I didn't really put two and two together till much later, so Corey can even gender shift his voice to a certain extent.
Indeed. I did realize it pretty quickly, but
I should have, but I didn't think about it.
And so. I should have noticed that you weren't noticing, but I'm dumb, didn't. I noticed you're noticing! Fun phrasing! Mm-hmm. Oh, God. Did you know I knew you know?
Yes.
Oh. Yes, but even though they probably certainly know that you probably wouldn't, they don't certainly know that although you probably wouldn't, there's no probability that you certainly would.
Yeah, Nina, like we said, she's very free-willed. She's willing to learn. She does take the lessons seriously. But she's Nina. She wants to be free. And it really bothers her in particular, and this is important. It bothers her that she has to go by Alicia Seth Fortna because that's not who she is. She's Nina. Azure actually gets to the point where if it's just the two of them, he will call her Nina. And that is him trying to help her out a little bit. And that's the kind of thing you see between these two. He's able to, he tries to get, it's a give and take at least at first, where he's trying to get her to do this thing to save the country, but he's not going to be an asshole about it. He's trying to help her out where it's reasonable to do so. Mm-hmm. But the first test of this training is meeting the King of Fortna, voiced by the legendary Chris Ranger. You may know him as Mr. Satan in Dragon Ball, or perhaps more recently as Veldora Tempest, and that time I got reincarnated as a slime. And this guy kind of leans more in the Mr. Satan direction, in my opinion. He's the king, but he doesn't really care.
Oh god, he is that worst of things. He is a drawing on an old Forgotten Realms novel. He is that worst of creatures, an evil king. And what I mean by that is somebody who is actively working against the interests of the country that they rule. So this doesn't mean a king who commits evil acts. It means a king who is bad at his job, almost deliberately so.
Yeah, he just wants to have fun and play around. He doesn't care about his duties. Exactly. But he also doesn't want to lose his status.
Right, because, if he was just work shy, that would be fine. People can pick up the slack for the most part. This guy is actively just fucking around because it amuses him. It's like that stupid kid in Game of Thrones, which I haven't actually watched it, but I've seen some clips. That stupid little kid who touches off a war for walls is that kind of guy.
I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Right. Anyway, that's the first parallel.
If he's not bad enough, the Queen of Fortuna,
whole different ball
is even worse.
Yeah.
Voiced by Molly Cersei.
No, sure, she's just doing standard palace politics bullshit, but without anyone to rein her in, or worse, actively encourage her because it's funny. Anyway, yes. I'm sorry. Yes, voiced.
Yeah, I was in the middle of describing who Molly Cersei is. There, guy. It's Kiwi Wadase in Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night, and Unilord in Shy.
Yes. So
we've been meeting her a lot lately.
Okay, so I forget, is Azure's mother, is she even still with us? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So there's two potential male heirs to this kingdom at the moment. The elder, by many years, is Azure. He's in his late teens, I want to say.
Yes, but he is through a different mother than the current queen.
Right, and I forget if she was even technically a queen or just a consort. But anyway, the current queen has a young son who's actually has the makings of a good king, actually.
I agree. He's just so young, though.
Right, so why don't you introduce him, and then we'll talk about the dynamic.
Yeah, this Mulum, voiced by Emmy Lowe. You might know her as Mao Mao in the Apothecary Diaries. Mm-hmm. Don't think you're getting away with this season without us talking about Apothecary Diaries, by the way, because we love Apothecary Diaries. And a show that I am very happy to be able to voice into existence, Destiny in Tacked Up Destiny, my favorite show that nobody remembers. Okay. Mainly because it has no home video release, not even on digital. Arg. Take my money, Crunchyroll. I want to buy Tacked Up Destiny.
Anyway.
But no, this kid is so sweet and so kind.
Yeah, you have to wonder how this couple produced a functional child, let alone one who's...
Do you really think either of those parents did any of the raising?
No, I'm just talking genetics. But no.
Personalities.
So actually, the irony is Azure's actually been doing a fair bit of the raising of this kid.
Your answer.
Well, here's the thing. But so the queen is, because I think because Azure's mother was just a consort, if I recall correctly. So he is actually second in the line of succession, really, but he's the elder and is already established and known to be very, very effective at everything. And so the queen is just absolutely paranoid. I think she's one of these people who fundamentally cannot trust anyone else. So she basically is always paranoid about Azure, doing away with her son and taking over himself, which, if the kid wasn't such good material, I would actually advocate. But Azure, of course, being a complete creature of duty, I doubt it would even have occurred to him if someone hadn't brought it up. And so he's just like, okay, whatever, shut up. And she keeps trying to basically get him killed.
And Nina, being Nina, catches on to this and is very willful on her own end about, hey, stop it.
Yeah, which of course
speaking of Nina,
sends the queen into practically psychotic rage because she is not the most stable person in the world.
That's what I meant by her being worse.
Yeah, well, she's not the head of state, is the thing. I mean,
I'm not talking about worse in terms of position. I'm talking about as...
Okay.
Calm your tits.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we've got the bad king, bad queen, not fun. Cool prince, but there is another noble around them, Lord Borg, voiced by Phil Parsons, who is Nappa in every iteration of Dragon Ball that I can find. That is Funimation, anyway. Obviously not the Ocean dub voice of Nappa. But,
and also if he was that too, just because.
That would be funny, but it's not. But he is also Leonard Burns in Fire Force. This guy is immediately sus of Nina. The king and queen keep trying to get Nina to perform for them, but she declines, mainly because she has no idea how to do the dances. But the excuse is, well, she has to wait. It would be improper to do it early.
Mm-hmm.
But Lord Borg is kind of sussing. Hilariously, neither the king nor the queen are actually sussing. They're just being dipshits.
Yep. And
But he's like
trying to do power games with Azure, not realizing that he's basically, but getting a point off would probably destroy his entire country within him with it.
Yeah. Lord Borg manages to help Nina sneak out in the middle of a festival so she can go out and see things. He's doing this to kind of prove that she's fake. And so he can kill Azure for treachery and be like, you replaced the princess. Yeah, that doesn't go well for him when that inevitably happens. Because of course Azure runs into her and he's like, aha! You have the fake! And Azure's like, alright, you die now.
Mm-hmm.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yep.
I get very amused with the king and queen after the fact, going, where's Lord Borg? And Azure's like, I don't know.
Yep.
Who knows?
Yep.
But as mentioned, Nina is very strong-willed. And she decides she's going to find help for the situation because the king is going to try and kill Azure. She does not like this. She goes and finds the previous generation, the abdicated emperor, voiced by Bruce DeBose. That's Kaijin, and that time it got reincarnated as a slime. And the previous Anubis in Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts. He managed to suss her out very quickly. And he's like, hey, come closer. Aha, a real priestess would not stand on this thing. And he has his assistants, Guinan and Phonem, basically arrest her. Guinan's voiced by Ryan Negron. That's Luke Braveheart in Zenshu. And Keith Powell in Sugar Up Fairy Tale. Hey, a Giga Chad and a terrible person. Yay!
Well, good actors.
And Phonem is indeed, and Phonem is voiced by Rudy Lopez, Taipei in Dead Mount Deathplay, and Ruda Kugari in Twilight Out of Focus. Not a whole lot about either one of them other than they're his aides, but literally the only people beside that I didn't end up putting in here for credits were the two ladies in waiting in the other kingdom who scream for like a minute, and that's about all we know about them.
Yep. So this previous emperor, I think, in conjunction with Azure, who he basically raised, I think the two of them are the only reason this kingdom hasn't burned down, fallen over, and sunk into the swamp.
Well, yes. He has Nina arrested. He doesn't know what's going on.
Right.
Azure shows up, and then he figures out what's going on. She's released. Yeah, turns out she's not. Azure got this idea from the abdicated emperor because Azure is also not really royalty. He is also a replacement for a dead prince.
Fun. I'd forgotten that, actually.
You forgot that? That's like one of the most important.
I've blocked a lot of this, honestly, out of my memory because it is so painful.
It is very dense, yeah.
No, I mean, like, just emotionally painful. A lot of this show.
Yeah. But
I don't like this sort of thing. So, I mean, I like this show, but I don't like this sort of thing in general.
I get you. And this actually explains a lot of why he's able to do the things he is to help her, because he was her.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he helps her out, uses the name Nina when it's just them. The abdicated emperor agrees to help because we don't want to go to war with Golgotha, so he decides to help Nina further with her education, and ultimately Nina decides the only way she can truly save Azure, who Azure and Nina are definitely transparently falling in love. It's incredibly obvious to anyone around them.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to save him, and she knows if she tells him her plan, he's going to stop her. So she works with the abdicated emperor to make sure she gets taken to the Golgotha kingdom. We have a whole nother set of characters. Oh boy!
Indeed. So, our first introduction to King Golgotha is a slightly but not really misleading introduction to Prince Set, voiced by Austin Tyndall.
Yes,
also known as... you go ahead.
It's Parma Akabane in Assassination Classroom, and Ruth in Ancient Magus Bride. Among many, many others, Austin Tyndall's a very prolific voice actor, very well known.
And so we see him essentially cavorting with 3 other princesses who have been sent to marry
other kingdoms.
Yeah, and one of them tries to kill him, and he kills her. And it turns out, well, I wouldn't call it a good reason exactly. It's not just, it's made out to be like he's just some cruel psycho idiot. No, this is all calculated on his part, which makes it slightly better, but still far from good. So, someone who's just plain crazy you couldn't deal with, but Set is not crazy.
I have a different take on him. I think at this particular point, I think Nina made him better.
Certainly, but what I mean is he is acting rationally within his own context. He's not just completely
insane people
like he's made out to be.
Their context too. That doesn't make him
right. But I mean, he's made out to be just bonkers, and he's not. Is my point.
Well, no, he's not. He's not cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Right, but the introduction makes it seem that way. It's a very skillful bait and switch.
I don't actually think it does, but I guess we have different opinion on that.
That's how it seemed to me, anyway.
He strikes me in the very beginning. As it goes along, I have a very different take on him. But he strikes me as the entitled prince who just does what he wants, gets what he wants, kills what he wants, takes what he wants, doesn't give a shit.
There's that. I mean, the way it was set up, I got a murder happy vibe as it was originally presented.
I got that as well. I didn't get he's out to murder. I got a murder is nothing to him. It's like, all right, whatever. You're in the way. All right, get rid of you. Yeah. That's the read I had on him at the beginning.
Yeah, and there is an element of that to him, but it's all calculated.
Yes, there is. Well,
what I mean is he's a big picture thinker, and yes, he is absolutely ruthless and amoral. It's all part of a larger plan that he has.
I don't get that from him, actually. I still don't get that from him. I don't get big picture plans off Set. I get Set. Okay, knowing everything I do know about Set, ignoring Nina's influence. My view of Set, after everything I know about this man, is that he's just doing what he thinks he has to do, but he doesn't. Out of all of the princes of Golgotha, he is one of the 2 that doesn't really have any ambition. He just kind of does.
He's doing what he thinks is required for the survival and the growth of his nation.
I think you gave him far too much credit, because that is not anything he's ever said.
Okay, well, I mean...
Now, I don't get me wrong, I like Set a lot. He's probably my 3rd favorite character in the entire show.
So I'm not spoiler alert, the whole killing thing at the beginning, he's deliberately trying to antagonize those girls to have an excuse to kill them to start wars with their respective countries.
Yes, that is exactly what he is doing.
Yeah.
That I will agree with, but why is he starting wars? Because he wants to do a war.
Because he wants to conquer.
Yes, but he doesn't have any reason to want to conquer other than he likes doing it.
Land, resources, people.
That is why the kingdom wants to do war. Set doesn't get
right,
a
and he
shit
is,
about
and
that.
he is doing what the kingdom has said needs to be done.
He is literally a dog on a being pointed in a direction.
Mhm.
That is all he is. He is not. You're giving him far too much forethought. He doesn't have. Obviously, we have different takes on Set at this point, and we could probably go in circles. But point of the matter is, this man is not doing too well at the moment. I'd say is a fair thing to say, but he's certainly doing what he's told to do.
He's certainly desperately unhappy. I think we
Yes,
can agree on that, if nothing else.
I absolutely think we can agree on that. You want the man who's even less happy? His poor attendant, Shigen, voiced by Aaron Michael, Julius Reinberg in Wisteria Wand and Sword, and Dulce in By the Grace of the Gods. Shigen is pretty much A, has to deal with Set, B, has to deal with everyone else around Set. I don't think they pay this man. I don't know how much he's being paid. It's not enough.
Well, it never is for people in that position.
No, but I will say I have a lot of respect for this character because he puts up with so much. Such grace and dignity. I'm actually very.
Indeed.
And interestingly enough, Nina very quickly gets Set's attention. And he does not put up with literally anything. And for her defiance, she gets slashed across the chest.
Yep. To which she
Set
just keeps talking.
Yeah, she is completely unbothered by it, which, goddamn woman.
Well, she's obviously in pain, but she keeps talking. She is so determined. Because her thing is, I think we said, but just to reiterate, she went behind Azure's back and basically snuck off to Golgotha with nothing but a single attendant, Hikami, to marry Set and thereby try and secure safety from Golgothan aggression for Fortnite.
Indeed.
So, I guess that's the difference between her and the other princesses, is she's there on a mission.
This actually earns Set's respect, which is hard to earn. And he appoints, while she's getting recovered, she still has Hikami with her, who's watching after her. But that's the only person from Fortnite she has with her. So from Golgotha, they appoint an aide named Anne, voiced by Jalitza Delgado, that's Val 4 in An Archdemon's Dilemma, How to Love Your Elf Bride, and Remi Ayasaki in Horimiya. Or Remi Ayasaki, excuse me. I can't say names today, Ark. Help.
Don't want me to do it?
But Anne is just a beautiful person. I love her.
Yeah, she's a sweetie pie, is basically her character.
And she's constantly there. So Nina and Set definitely get a lot closer. They there's a bit of a romance, at least on Set's point of view, towards Nina. This mellows him out considerably. He's not like, I am now a refined gentleman, but he's not nearly as kill happy.
Yeah.
And this is where we see a lot more of the complicated side of the character. We may have had disagreements about earlier, but at this point, I think he starts thinking for himself more, and I think it's because of Nina. And in a conversation that they have, where we are introduced to his pet bird, Nina, he says Nina, and she reacts, and he notices. Now, this is what I will say about Set. Either end of it, this man is incredibly observant.
Yeah, maxed out
and
perception
he catches on to that. Oh, yeah. He catches on to her reaction, and he makes the conclusion that was her other name, because in Golgotha, there, you might have multiple names. He picks up on that's the name she reacts to, and he starts calling her Nina when it's just the two of them. We have a love triangle, everyone. A love triangle has been established here. Of course, we have Nina the bird, which when we gave Nina some awards during our awards ceremony for the season, that bird Nina is sitting on Nina's head. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, She's oh god, Nina the bird she's a pest.
She's a bird.
She's spoiled. She's spoiled.
Nina the bird is a bird. That's kind of how birds behave.
Some of them. There's a wide range of behaviors. I understand. I have a number of friends who keep birds and stuff, and it's like dogs. There's a wide range of behaviors and temperaments.
My grandparents kept birds, and they pretty much all acted this way.
Okay.
There were variances beyond like that, but in terms of this level of, yeah, no, Nina was but yeah, we have Nina and Nina.
Mm-hmm.
But this is about the time when we start getting introduced to the other princes.
Ugh.
And specifically, it is mentioned to Nina by one of them. We'll get into the princes here in a minute. But we get mentioned that there was a bloody history in Set's early childhood. There's a specific term, but I can't remember what it is, to be honest with you. But the long and the short of it is, Set actually tells Nina what happened. And yikes. Nobody has a happy childhood in this universe, I swear to God.
But I think Set's is probably the worst.
Oh, I agree completely. When I was talking about Set, I don't actually blame him for the way he is, because this childhood would make anybody this.
Yeah, it's a wonder he could even function.
He was raised as a son. He was the son of a concubine and the king, and he was raised in the clergy by a head priest of Galgada, voiced by Alex Hom. That's Gao Xuan in the Apothecary Diaries, and Aka Ibuki in Ayaka, A Story of Bonds and Wounds. Another screwed up character.
Well, he's good at it.
Yeah.
And yeah, you want to talk balls out psychosis, this fucker.
Yes. He decided that Set, who he was in love with Set's mother, I just said it earlier, my brain is gone. Concubine. And when she was forced to basically give birth to him and died in the process, he decided to take it out on Set. He would go back and forth between being friendly and loving to Set because he loved his mother, and wrathful and hateful of him because his mother died giving birth to him.
Yeah, he basically went. I think the mother's death drove him crazy, literally.
Yes. I won't say Set was crazy. I think he...
So Set basically had a full-stop abusive upbringing. Like, emotional abuse, physical abuse, torture, essentially. Anything you can imagine from the worst of family court. Or criminal court.
And to make things even worse, when they finally get Set out of there and into the royal family for their reasons, he decides to commit suicide by jumping to his death right in front of Set. And be like, you are the Prince of Blood! Ha ha ha! Oh, gee, great, thanks.
Nothing of value was lost except a precious bit of Set's sanity.
Yes. So, yeah, that explains so much about poor Set, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned those princes. There are 3 other princes, and there is a king. One of the other princes is Bido, voiced by Joshua Waters. That's Denosuke Uchimura in the Headhunted to Another World from Saruman to Big 4. And Hikaru Kiyomiya in Alias Sometimes Hides Your Feelings in Russian. This guy, I have put in here Party Prince. I'm sure this man's got goals and plans. This guy is the most chill out of all 4 of the princes. He's just very nice.
I wouldn't use the word chill. He's the obnoxious party asshole. Who's always got women all over him. Unless I'm mixing him up with somebody else.
No, that's him.
Yeah, but yeah, it's all. To me, he seems incredibly sinister. But I mean, they all do. But
he's the one of them that I don't take. Really, I take.
Oh, I think he'd cut your throat with a smile and enjoy watching you bleed out.
No, I think that's a different one. And we'll
Well,
talk about
he's
that
not
in
the
a minute.
only one who's like that, but no, I think he's sinister as fuck.
I think you see sinister shit wherever you look.
I think he's still alive in this core.
Well,
that tells you something.
What I read off of this, man, this is a man who's playing a long con. He's got a play. He definitely has his own plans. I certainly wouldn't trust him, but I don't think he's going to slit your throat unless he has damn good reason.
Unless he thought he could get away with it, sure. But
I
think his end game is to be the last man standing.
I
think he's gonna let his brother. I think he's gonna let his brothers prune each other off and then kill whoever's left.
I don't actually think he has interest in the throne, but I could be wrong, of course. I think he has other plans.
Okay.
I think this man has both larger and smaller plans. I don't think the throne is his ambition.
You might be right.
That's my read on this man. This guy has something he wants, is working towards something, but I don't think it's the throne. And
we don't have very much information to go off.
No, but based on this man's interactions, I don't think he's quick to go to kill mode. I don't think he couldn't. If he had a reason to do it, I think he would. But I don't think this is not I kill you because haha. I don't get that off the man at all.
No, I think that he intends to strike once, and for it to be the last strike in the overall struggle. That's the
possibly
read I get from him.
I can't say that is not true, but again, I get a different vibe out of him. But that's possible. I'll buy that one. I mean, like I said, I think he's playing the long con, but the reason I said chill is this man is incredibly laid back in the way he handles things. This guy is not going to be your immediate beast. You want the one who's the least chill out of all three, although not the worst one. But the least chill, that goes to your voice by the legendary Alejandro Saab, Urek Mazano in Tower of God Season 2, and Gabi Maru in Hell's Paradise. Yor hates women, and he hates Set, and he wants the throne because
I think he hates everything except the hunky guys he keeps around, if you catch my drift.
He has all male attendants, and yet he kidnaps Nina. Why? Because he hates Set, and he knows Set likes her. This is like Vengeance Joe over here, just I want to do this because fuck you.
This is the one I am astonished is still alive, because his capacity for critical thinking could maybe fit into a thimble. Maybe fill a thimble if we're being generous. Yeah.
This man has absolutely no brains.
Yeah, I'm astonished the king hasn't killed him off just because he's annoying.
Well, I can't argue with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's four of them. This one's disposable. Yeah, who is in fact female, but apparently they use the term king regardless of gender, which...
Well, I mean, they're using it in terms of... Well, I actually can explain that because, as you said, king and queen have different roles. The role here that she is playing is the leader, not just the child rearer.
Right. Well, again, historically, a queen who's reigning doesn't have a king. She has a prince consort, at least in the Western European world. But anyway, whatever. Her title is king. European. Let's not psychoanalyze royal titles here. I'll talk for 5 hours. So
that's fair enough. But yeah, King Noah Halle. Noah Halle.
Halle or Halle, either way.
I just wondering what you pronounce that.
I don't know. Anyway, yeah, whatever.
Voiced by Elizabeth Maxwell. That's Midnight in My Hero Academia, and Albus in Reslime. The king is introduced because the king has decided that she is going to do away with Set's place in the as the next king, and there's going to be this whole tournament thing, and also we have visitors from Fortuna, because apparently Azure has taken the throne.
Yeah, and behind the scenes, it's on a temporary basis, but still.
But they don't know that.
Yeah. And it's
My read on the king here. She's you want someone who scares me. It's her.
Oh yeah.
I don't take ill read of her. I don't actually think she's a bad person. She scares me.
She's by your standards, she's evil. She wants to conquer.
Yes.
Admittedly, doing so for sensible reasons. That is to say, she apparently ascribes to the school of thought which says that a nation expands or it dies, which, for this sort of nation that appears to be militaristic, there is a certain element of truth to that.
Yeah. I didn't say I liked her.
Yeah, no. Again, but if we're talking morality, she's basically launching wars of conquest, i.e. theft. Which is by our Judeo-Christian moral system evil.
I'm not a fan of that, but I'm also looking at this is the world that they're in. Conquest in and of itself is not.
Well, I guess if you're judging people by any sort of objective standard, then certainly she's in violation of the just war doctrine.
Certainly. I didn't say I liked her. I don't.
Yeah. Also. Yeah, she is, I think, as you say, very dangerous. She knows how to keep her mouth shut and her eyes open. Or eye.
What I was trying to get across is it's less so in terms of the moral judgment and more so in terms of, oh God, this person's sharp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely the reason, or at least probably building off an inheritance of power, but certainly she's the reason that the kingdom is ascendant.
Indeed. She and Nina butt heads a couple times, and there seems to be a begrudging respect from the king towards Nina, which is kind of great. But then, because of that, she keeps dragging Nina into her bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Most notably, towards the end of the series at a tournament. We left out one of the princes, so I'm going to talk about him briefly now and then much more in detail later. The Prince Tout, voiced by Lee George. That's Yuhi Amamiya in Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, main character right there. And Keith Westerberg in Why Raleighana Ended Up at the Duke's Mansion. Give me a season 2 already, guys. Come on.
Seriously.
He acts very, very friendly on the outside. Very, he's the one that actually told the story about the head priest initially to Nina, at least the concept of it. He didn't tell her the whole story. But there's something wrong with this, and we'll get into why here in a minute.
Yeah, this is the fairly open schemer. At least open. It's transparent to us as the.
He is open to the audience.
As the audience, there's no question as to this guy is a scheming, sinister fuck.
Oh, this is the man where I say murder's the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he does hire a man named Dogra Ket, voiced by Zach Loera. It's probably Loera. I'm sorry, voice actors.
Laura, I think.
That's what I said at first, but I think that's wrong. But I don't know.
It's either Laura or Laura.
I'm sorry, voice actors. I'm terrible at names. But he is Ryo Ikaruga in Kaiju number 8 and Takumi Iruma in possibly the greatest alchemist of all time. Dogra's been hired to go kill Nina. But it's interesting because at this time we have visitors from Fortuna, including Azure in disguise, who's not acting as Azure, but it's totally Azure.
Which is just... I understand why he's doing it, but just the fact that his people, since he's now the king, the fact that his people let him do this is just insane.
Well, he's not really the king. He's only king short term, remember?
Still, if they figure out who he is, that's a hell of a bargaining chip.
And only if they think he... If the Golgoddans captured him, but we have your king, and be like, well, he's not really our king for it, so we'll just switch back now. Kill him. We don't care. Not really a problem.
Anyway, because plot says so, essentially.
Well, yes, there is a bit of that. But Dogra is stopped by Azure, who we met previously, and Sat met previously, notably, when he went to go speak with Nina after Nina asked him to. And he did some very light hand touching, and Set was not happy about that and told him you were not to touch her. Well, Set isn't there in time, but Azure is to stop Dogra from killing Nina. Set does not like this, though, because you touched my woman again.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of growling and fighting going
random
on there.
Fortnan. So,
Yes,
not
Fortnan.
not that knowing who Ash is would make it any better.
That would actually make it worse.
Yeah.
That would actually make it worse. There's a bit of growling there, but Nina's able to calm it down. But Set is arrested for this mess. And put into confinement. Nina has a talk with Azure, who comes to visit her that night. And there's a brief talk. He's going to try and rescue her and all that. And she can't quite tell him everything she wants to tell him. And it's a nice reunion, but it's also kind of sad because it's like the communication is not happening.
Adulting is hard, you guys.
Yeah. So Nina, after that, decides she's going to go sneak in and find Set. And she's going to bring him some food and drink. And she is given earlier by Tout a special drink that she can make, which is found by Kami immediately, who keeps it away from Nina because Nina died. But Kami decides he's going to put that into the drink that goes into Seth, because that gets rid of Seth, who is a major, or Set, who's a major threat to Fortna. But the antidote will be in the food because Hikami knows that Set won't eat it, but Nina will. And Nina talks with Set. They're having a conversation, and the poison takes effect.
And Nina
gets help.
Freaks out.
Oh, she is. Yeah. And she is, of course, arrested for assumingly trying to kill Set.
Yeah, which, is perfectly understandable.
Absolutely. Hikami does not like how this went, feels bad about it, tries to confess, literally ends up hanging himself while writing a confession in blood below. Ugh, God. The Fortnans, including Azure, are heading back. So Nina's in a very down place already. But this gets worse when Tout comes to her to brag about his plan. Because this was all his setup. And the Fortnans are being attacked by mercenaries he's hired to kill them. Actually, I think the king did that, actually. I take that back. She is being sent off to a far distant place, like basically Siberia. And yeah, by the way, I did this because I didn't like the weakening you did to Set. Set is my god of death, and I can't let you break that. I want to stare at the flame more.
Yep, and it's at this point we realize that Tout isn't just sinister; he's fucking nuts.
Absolutely fucking insane. Yeah, this one is absolutely out of his goddamn.
So poor Set just can't catch a break.
Well, and Set
he's
tried to kill him.
Yeah.
How could he not?
Yeah, well, he doesn't have any information to the contrary, and
he is
because
mad as hell
Tout's
about
made
it.
sure of that.
Of course. So he's mad as hell about it. And of course, this is where the season ends. God damn it! Give us a season 2, Nina! Can't let the story end here! This is a terrible place to stop the season. Why would you do this?
Well, As long as they give us season 2.
If they give us season 2, it's not a problem, but that's not guaranteed with these sorts of things. This is a light novel adaptation.
Well, worst case scenario, you can keep going that route.
Well, if it's even available, which I'm not sure if it is.
I will check and put a note on the visuals.
Indeed. Well, yeah. We may have just gone through the whole thing, and I mean, that's what we do. So, I guess we should have given a spoiler warning, but I mean, once we got going, I think it was pretty obvious where we were going to go there.
Yeah, it's a show-focused episode. It's always massive spoilers.
Yeah. But if for some reason you listen to all of us,
Yeah, we just really hit the high notes here. There's a lot of twists and turns, and very interesting, very well done. Anyway, if you haven't watched the show already, go watch it. It's well worth your time.
Absolutely. Fantastic show. Cannot recommend it enough. So, yeah, I guess that's our topic for the day. Well, once again, our sponsor this week has asked us to do an ad read. So, let's hope it goes better this time.
Well, this wee podcast is sponsored by the finest mercenary outfit in the entire Innisphere, the Northwind fucking Highlanders. And that's right, you wee lads and lassies. Now that the Capellans have finally gotten around to stabbing us in the back, the folks who are responsible for there still being a confederation, but, it took them a few centuries. But anyway, the point is the Highlanders are on the fucking market. And what does that mean for ye? Well, let me ask you somewhat. What's the greatest power in the entire Inner Sphere? That's right, boyo. It's the power of fucking crazy. And who are the craziest fuckers around? Scotsmen, you say? Aye, and you be right. But we're not just Scotsmen. We're fucking space Scotsmen. And we're not just space Scotsmen. We're space Scotsmen with giant fuck-off battle mechs with speakers on them to blast bagpipe music loud enough to shatter your fucking eardrums at every window for a kilometer around. I'm not actually kidding. That's canon. So, just as soon as your check clears, we'll hot drop in however many shitloads of tartan-painted, bagpipe music blasting, psychotically Scottish mech warriors it takes to put your enemy out of your misery. And I personally guarantee that any survivors will have a post-traumatic fear of bagpipes for the rest of their fucking lives. Believe that. So, if you want the power of kilts, whiskey, bagpipes, and murder on your side, contract the Northwind Highlanders today, before your enemies do. The Northwind Highlanders, the crazy fucks who invented the Highlander burial.
Oh my god.
There's a battle mech called the Highlander, which is unusual for being so large that it has jump jets. And so Highlander Burial is one term for death from above, which is a very stupid mech maneuver where you jump jet up and try to land on your opponent's head. It's a maneuver of desperation, or, as in these guys' cases, of crazy. It's nicknamed Highlander Burial both because of the mech and because these fucks like to do it very often with the Highlander. They're amazing.
I knew what you were going to do, but I didn't read the whole thing. And that made that way too funny. Oh my god.
So yeah,
your delivery was great.
Thank you. I'm having fun. And if any actual Scots, men or women, are listening to this, hashtag sorry, not sorry.
Oh.
I mean, I love you guys, and I'm sorry for this stereotype, but I had way too much fun to be genuinely regretful. So take that.
All right. Well, I think it's time for us to get out of here. So, Ark, outside of Space Scotland, where can the people find you?
Gutenberg. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 unlocks tomorrow as this goes, and that is where I am going, baby.
All right. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at LaserKidPrime, on Blue Sky at LaserKid, and you can find me on the Toonami Faithful podcast, available pretty much everywhere you look. More places than this is. Speaking of, you can find the Simuldub Saints on Twitter at Simuldub Saints. I said Laser Prime. And on Blue Sky at Simuldub Saints. And of course, the podcast is right here on YouTube. And once I get my computer back, these episodes will get put back onto Spotify podcasts. For the moment, we are not doing that just because of computer difficulties, but the YouTube feed is still going strong.
All right.
Well, I think that about does it for this week's episode of Simuldub Saints. There's going to be some amount of it that you wouldn't have heard, but there's probably going to be some of it. So apologies, we kind of got at each other a little bit. We kind of do that sometimes.
Yeah, I
But
think we're both a little cranky today for various reasons.
that's always a possibility. But I think we got there. We got there, which we do. Thank you all for listening, and catch you later.
気づいたら